morning there, everyone. Episode 14 now of Around the Bend. We have Martin made it back to us. How are you doing this morning, Martin?
Wow, Blake, thank you. 14. I'm starting to use my toes to count them for you.
I know. Well, I hope you don't have 14 appendages altogether.
Well, it really helps with playing guitar.
That's true, I guess. I wanted to get you back on here because I think you were here on episode 2. We had a really good chat, and I was over the past couple months since we last talked, all these different AI tools kind of popping up, specifically around the low code, no code kind of different tools that are out there. I wanted like someone with a big software engineering background like yourself to jump on and give your 2 cents, and me as a non coding person messing around with these tools to kind of maybe help me see what some of those long-term impacts might be.
Yeah, it's a great time to be an innovator. Is probably a simple way to put this. And Blake, I'll be honest, low code slash no code has been around a long time in
Okay.
various functions, but it had some limitations. You had to fit in a certain box, and as long as you fit in that box, you're fine. The challenge was most people's solutions that the things that you're trying to solve don't necessarily fit in the box, and so you need something a little more innovative. And there's the magic quadrant thing from Gartner. I don't recite the whole thing, but I know most of the players in it because I work in software development, and I
Hmm.
understand how I can improve my processes and my people's ability to produce output product called software using assistance. So the typical leaders. Believe it or not, these may not come to the forefront for you, but think of ServiceNow as a leader in low
Hmm.
code, no code, or um, Salesforce of all companies, right?
It's a good
And
point.
Microsoft, they're considered in that upper right hand quadrant. And then a couple that I've been aware of and actually evaluating is Appian, Pegasystems. There's a couple others in the lower quadrants that are up and coming. They seem to be coming out of the woodworks, and you've heard of this thing called Chat GPT, right?
Possibly.
Yeah. So that is, uh, I put in my own podcast. I put it through the ringer in using Chat GPT to help as a coding assistant, and
Hmm.
I'm also a user of Bard. And it's funny that the more knowledge you have, the more power you can bring from the generative solution into your low code, or if you know how to code, get more done with less time. So it's really
Hmm.
interesting.
I mean, I guess that's a really good point. You could have even the normal Google searches, you could get a lot of really positive, good information out of something if you know what you're looking for. Um, but I'm kind of pretty interested, like, because I've put in commands specifically into Bard that you mentioned, like, hey, write me a code. I said, write me a simple video game, and it pumped out a whole set of code for the video game, and then I went to go plug it into like the command console. And again, I'm gonna be saying some dumb stuff here because it's just me playing with it for fun, and the code failed. It didn't work. It didn't
Sure.
run. Um, so what I'm getting at is like, maybe you still need a base of that background software development knowledge, but maybe the overall work is reduced, or maybe the expectation is just going to be much greater.
Yeah. How about I maybe share a screen and do a little quick, maybe a show and tell of how to approach solving a problem, and that will give insight, not necessarily how to solve all your problems, but maybe just how to think about them. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, give me a second, and I'm going to see if I can share. I don't know if I have to share a screen, a whole screen or not, but let me give me a moment. I have a Bard session up. I'm just going to make it full screen, and I maybe put it on another screen to make it easy.
Okay.
Share screen. Oh, I have one that says Bard, and hopefully you're seeing my screen. It's off to my right, so if you notice my head turning is over here, and I'm going to start simple. First of all, Bard is available to anyone with a Google backed account, and that could be through your company or through your Gmail. But your administrator has to enable the Bard interface for your domain. And I have my own domain, and I'm my own administrator, so of course I've enabled Bard for me. Sure. So um, maybe give a simple problem, and I'm going to say how I'd approach it. I might start something like write and if I can type an architecture document
Mm-hmm.
for a video game via a command prompt. So I'm going to take it away from a graphics processor, which will this is I'm kind of stepping it down a notch.
Mm-hmm.
So I let Bard tell me how it would do it, and we'll see if it comes close, and you can use the magic of editing on the video to see if this is interesting. So it says, sure, here's a document of a video game via command prompt, and it describes, and I'm not going to read this out loud, but here it talks about the components of a game, the architecture. The game engine will be implemented in C++, or the level editor might be implemented in Python, and they also throw in a scripting language, Lua. This is just some things. This is kind of like background to understand. This is how the software developer might be thinking about it. Well, shoot, that's me, right? And inclusion, but now I want to take it back a notch and say and rewrite this a little bit. Write a simple, and I'm going to keep it for command prompt. Python video game for, I don't know, magic words. We're going to keep this very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Guesses. And let's just see. And I'm just making up this game. It's called Magic Word Guesses. I hope we'll see what Bard thinks. But here it is. All right. So there's a nice script, and it says import. So we got to bring up some stuff here, generate machine learning. I don't know. Let's figure out what it's trying to do. It gave me a loop construct, a couple conditionals, and it goes to the output. Um, this game is very simple, but should give you a good starting point, a scoring system. So I want to put it to the test. And this is the problem that I think you ran across,
Mm-hmm.
which is, you tried something and it didn't work. Now, I don't know if you can see on my screen or not. I have a text editor. Can you see that?
I can, yeah.
Okay, can you see where it says, I'm just going to clear this out. It says downloads bash. Can you see that part of my editor or not?
Is it all inside of Bard? Because I can only see
No,
Bard
it's
at the
not
moment.
inside of Bard.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
so
not
what
showing
we'll
us that part.
do is through the magic of changing my screen share is I am going to need to do a couple things. I'm going to leave a couple windows up. I'm going to move, and this will be fun for you to edit this part out. Let's go. Bring Bard back up. So I have Bard up. I need to minimize my Bard so I can show more. All right. So yeah, and I can see what it's sharing. So I'm gonna see if I can share the whole window, which will allow you to see what I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
at the same time as seeing Bard. Give me just a moment. So under share, screen, and I want to show the whole window. So all right, so I should be showing a whole window which shows a text-based terminal and Bard. Is that visible for you? No.
I mean, I'm seeing Bard again. I wasn't seeing your
Okay, so what we're gonna stop sharing. It should have been the
Mm.
whole window. That's only a more for you to edit. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's the magic of screen sharing. I think a lot of people can relate to those issues when you're in the middle
Okay,
of
this
meetings.
one confirms it is showing the right thing. So you see, I have a what's called a command prompt, and I'm moving it around. So
Now
this
I can.
part will be real exciting for your users. So I have this code here,
Uh huh.
and I'm going to copy it into a text editor. So I copy it to the clipboard, and I'm going to stretch this out so I can have more visible space. And I'm going to use a visual editor. I'm not encouraging your viewers to use this editor, but we'll call it game.py for Python. And I'm going to hit the insert key. And I just pasted everything in. And we're going to do a quick test. And if it works, that'll be shocking. But if it fails, we'll start debugging.
Huh. Okay.
Okay. So that part's done. And I'm not going to keep the editor open, but I want to give an example. I think what you described as a frustrating experience, and I'm going to try to run this as a Python game. And I'm going to go Python game.py. Uh-oh, guess a letter. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm going to say M. Correct. Guess is 0. Guess a letter. Give me one, Blake.
B. Ah.
Give me another one.
A. Oh.
Oh, we got one correct guess. Let's guess another one.
C.
All right. So you see, this game actually is working.
T.
No.
Uh. No, we already did that.
How about I'll just try to just I'll do a W. I'm just gonna hit a few on the keyboard. I'm just going around the keyboard see if I can get one.
Well, think of what you could spell with CA. I'm like thinking
Oh,
cab,
oh,
cap.
oh, there we go. I have 3 letters now. You see, the game is working. I'm going to quit the game
Uh huh.
and let's go back and look at the code.
That's cool.
So this
So
game actually did work.
so I'm this is my question is like for example when I pull up the I think I was pulling up the you know Apple command terminal, and again I'm going to be saying some dumb stuff cuz I'm just playing with it on my computer. What did you do different besides just copy and paste it in there?
Well, I think what I recognize is you probably had some prerequisites you didn't understand. And and that's where a little knowledge goes a long ways. I
Uh-huh.
recognized what I was asking was going to be something I would be successful with in the context of showing you in a live video very quickly with no preparation. I absolutely had zero prep. I just went for it because
Mm,
I know the pattern, and from a command prompt, I know the capabilities of a command prompt, so I made it a command prompt based game. Now, as soon as I wanted to display on screen, that's where things can go awry because it may have given you code for a certain type of video output and you
uh-huh.
weren't set up for that.
I see. Okay. It's just really fun cuz like I'm like, "Oh, this is like I feel like a little kid like when you get like a toy and you're like, "Oh, I just made a game or I just saw a game get made."
How about this one? Write a simple game. Now, this may be pushing the limits here
Okay.
as you watch the screen. Game for, what is it called? Nintendo Switch. Now this is pushing the limits because first of all, I don't have a Nintendo Switch sitting here in emulation mode at all. So I have no way to test this if it does put out anything. But I'm going to talk you through what to do. Okay, so here we go. So it gives you a falling block game. It gives you some stuff. It talks about it. Um,
Oh, so it just gave the idea of a game.
right. Now in context, I'm gonna say, write the code for this, and we'll see what it does. I haven't tried this before. I went off and took the risk here, and we'll just see. Wow. So here they're doing this in Python. Now, let me just look. See, it sets up a screen width, a screen height, a display. So this is talking about, the parameters. Now, if I tried to copy this into my text window and play it, I don't think this will render in a text window. It would have to have a library and an API to my local system to do that. And I'm just trying to see this. If this is in context of writing a Python for a Nintendo Switch, then I would assume this would work because it's using primitives such as drawing a rectangle and getting some parameters around it. There's probably a color. These are maybe colors and sizing things that go in here and update. But there you go.
That's
So we can spend more time trying to figure out if this does anything, but I'll give an example. I'm going to copy the text, and I think this is the kind of experience you're probably referring to. So I say copy, right? I'm going to go
mm-hmm.
back to my text editor, and I'm going to go clear, and I'm going to call it BI game 2, and this should not work for me. I could be wrong, but this should not work for me. So there is an example of the game. It's done. Write it. All right. So now, if I Python try to execute this game
It should freak out.
2.py, if this works, I will be shocked. I think it should error out. Yeah, there it goes. So I have to bring in a library. It's called Pygame. And so, well, I guess I could find out if I could get that. I can go pip install. Now this is where it's going to try to go off and install a module called Pygame. Now I just showed you some magic here. Well, how did I know this? Well, this is part of when you develop software. You learn, you have prerequisites, and the
Mm-hmm.
library. This is a library that this game needed. Okay, so all right, so now we have that downloaded. Let's see if it does anything now. Rutro, it's doing something. I can't tell you what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Requirements required. Satisfied. Okay. Oh, sorry. I just did the same thing. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I'm just
That's what happens when
interested.
I did. So I did my up arrow command completion. I should have done it twice. There we go. Now it's
Mm.
trying to run a game. And let's see what it does now. And who knows? Somewhere in the world, this code is executing. Oh, look at that. I have a video game.
What?
Look, I lost. Look it.
What?
You see that?
Yeah.
I'm now a game programmer.
What?
Blake, you just learned the magic how to become a video game programmer.
How? But what did you have to interact with it at all, or it just ran the code and did that all?
This was a simple one. It's just telling us all I did was execute it. I just said find a way to execute it. All right. I'm going to quit the game. Bye-bye. So there you go. I just showed you the magic of how you, Blake, could potentially become a game programmer.
Whoa. How long would that like? Let's say, how long would that have taken to write that code in the past?
Um, as a for the person that knows how to do it, let's go back to actually this is a very simple case. So forget the prerequisite stuff here. This is about setting up a window on a screen. So you have to know I need to be able to set up a window on a screen, right? I need to do a region of interest. I need to know what I'm doing at the region of interest. And it's starting off and telling me it's outputting into a console. It's saying, you lost. Okay, great. Check if the player has cleared any lines. I don't understand with reading through this off the top what do they mean, but let me just tell you, in the world of software development, these are loops. So this is a for loop. Under this condition, it will, you lost, it breaks. Here's another loop, and another loop. So it's two embedded loops. So it's like running inside each other. So it goes through a series of iterations. And yet here's another looping construct. So even though you have a concept of low code, you should understand the concepts of looping, conditionals, variables. Um, that's what's going to drive your power to be able to do this. I mean, seriously, for the person that knows how to do this, this is, from start to finish, less than an hour. And it's how fast do they type and then they debug it, right? That's why I say less than an hour. I mean, if you can type this literally in 5 minutes, but then you spend the next 20 minutes debugging all your mistakes. And here we just generated it using the power of a generative technology. I happen to choose Bard. I could have used ChatGPT. They may have pulled out similar experiences, but I gave you an example. And you're now a software engineer, Blake.
That's awesome. I think a really good analogy to this is just the same like when I edit down an email, like if I need to relay a bunch of important points, like it takes me 5 minutes to write it, but then I'll spend like 30 minutes editing it and oh, should this be there? Should that be there? Does this work? Does that not work? And it's just so crazy how it's just like we just wrote it and then bam, that's like a 10-second thing and it's already edited it. It's pretty crazy.
Well, here's an example of something I like to do. I like to push the limits. I go, write a sarcastic reply to this message, right? And I'm going to say, um, hello, Martin. You are the best. Your bud, Blake. All right. So I'm going to see if I can get a sarcastic reply for you. Oh, it didn't want to give me. Okay. So let me give it context. So I'm going to go back here.
Uh-huh.
The following message. Let's just see. You might have to edit all this out. In ChatGPT, I do this for fun.
I think it's good for people, yeah, to see these mistakes and watch
Yeah,
how this kind of gets done. Because I had the same thing. What? Hmm.
interesting. Well, you know what? I have the technology here. Check this out. Same window. Chat GPT. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to copy this. I'm now in Chat GPT. So I usually use Chat GPT for this kind of stuff. So
Sounds like a medieval poem writer. The way it produced that one.
so but also it's the ability to take context of what this language model is tuned for.
Yeah.
And it looks like in the context I was working as a software developer, which I didn't say I was, but it may have put me in that context in Bard. But in ChatGPT, it just took it at face value as a response, like an assistant, a chatbot assistant, and that's exactly why people are excited about ChatGPT. And I mean,
Thanks.
I can also demonstrate maybe at some time in the future how to write an application that talks to ChatGPT. That might be fun for you to see. Actually, I may have one already created. Let's see. Hold on.
I was watching I think it was a live talk by the founder of, or one of the co-founders of OpenAI, basically with their new API plugins and just them like running through things like API to API to API. And of course, that wasn't their fully released version, but it was pretty amazing. And I'm just like, this is one of those things that's evolving so fast. You got to keep up with it. It's going to be like, realistically, like the people who got on the internet and then took, didn't get on the internet, like the people that are not on Chat GPT, they're not playing with Bard and these things. In a year, you're kind of going to get left in the dust. There's going to be so many new things happening so fast. Like, just
Yeah.
wild.
Let me give you a demonstration. So I have a Python script that it runs in a loop that's continuous, and it has my API key. So I don't want to show the code because it has like API key that's to me, but it's going to initiate, and it's going to, now I have a command prompt to ChatGPT, and I'm going to say the same thing here and see what it does. So there's the same thing you saw in the other window, right?
Hmm.
Oh, it's already replied. Check it out.
Woo!
You like that? Oh, it looks like it's still writing.
Whoa.
Each line is a new line. So it loves me. The script worked. So I don't need to use a web browser to chat GPT. I can do it from my command prompt because I have a little interactive app that does it. But I just want to give you an example that I didn't spend a lot of time writing that app. I basically asked Bard how to write this app yesterday. I created my own chat GPT or OpenAI key, and
Hmm.
I laid down a credit card for credits, and I'm able to do this.
That is just amazing.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it also failed out on me. As you see, in the
Yeah.
world of software development, not everything goes as expected. And this script isn't bulletproof, but it did start an output. And somewhere towards the end, you see where it's all this, where it says file, 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 and it ends. And you see like your request ID at the very end. This thing failed on me. So it had what we call an error, and it said rate limit on me. It's like, huh, rate limit on me. Wow. But I paid big bucks for this capability. I paid $5. Yeah.
Dang, this
So
is, I don't know.
I now just turned you into a prompt engineer, not quite, but and
Almost.
that's a whole new place to pick up on also, and in putting context into ChatGPT. I know we were talking low code, no code, but I just took you down a journey that now is the best time ever to get into creation of solutions and learning what's behind the machine and how to interact with it.
I think we're gonna see. This is just my feeling too. Is that we're gonna see title morph just working in recruiting. You're gonna. I predict. I can be quoted on this if this becomes true. That in 6 months to a year, you're gonna see. I mean, you already see like AI engineers and things, but I feel like they're going to change the name or the expectations on software developers, and the kind of associated roles, QA testers and things like that. I just think there's going to be a lot more expectation to the point where it almost morphs these roles or combines roles together. Because you won't, I'm not saying you won't need QA testers and things like that, but if these models get to a point where they're so good, they're just like able to like pinpoint or speed up those processes and whatnot. Like this is something I've been telling people ever since I kind of saw Chat GPT. I was like, it's just going to make a lot of repetitive tasks, which whether software engineers want to admit it or not, a lot of them are just pumping and have been pumping things into that. What is that one website that was,
You mean GitHub?
yeah, GitHub. They're just pulling stuff out, plugging stuff in. So they're like they're fancy copy pasters and readers. And I've told that to my friend who worked at DocuSign. And he's like, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
It
But
is.
but
It
I get
is.
paid 200K to do it, so it's okay.
So I just gave an example. You remember we did the video game, and I just said, "Hey, write a unit test," which is software QA for that. And in context to that video game, I'm assuming this is in context to that video game. It looks like it. It's written a test, and this is what a software QA engineer might have to write in code to do that, to to build into the integration. So in the software development lifecycle, you would have code creation, code validation. It may integrate with multiple developers, and you may have what's called continuous integration and test. This might be integrated into what we call a CI, or continuous integration pipeline, that gets triggered every time the code gets checked in. This code would run. And I know I took it off a level away from just low code, no code, but I was going to give you an example how to tie the bits together a little bit. So I can now morph the role of a software QA engineer to be also white box, which is also examining the code or writing a unit test for the code, or systemic tests. I could start using this engine to help me do stuff. Now, the issue is you don't necessarily want to put your software code that you develop for your corporate intent into ChatGPT or Bard,
Mm-hmm.
but you can use a privatized repo and do the same acts. So
Mm,
you protect your intellectual property. So that's a key point going down that path.
I see. Okay. Hmm.
I'm going to stop sharing,
Yeah, because that's
and
actually the
we're
big
back.
concern I think a lot of people have is that whatever tool you're using, I mean, even arguably if you pay for the privacy or you're paying the premium, they technically could own that data because it's on their platform.
So, it's interesting. I was at the Artificial Intelligence and Data Summit in San Diego about a month ago, and met with top people from Microsoft that are heavily invested in integrating generative technology, uh, and they openly are talking about caution on how to apply it, but they're aggressively going after verticals where it makes sense, how we
Hmm.
can improve this vertical. And that is really monumentous when you think of doing something for healthcare and improving healthcare or pharmaceutical care around healthcare. You can take the subsegment and just knock it out of the park like it's a win. And
Hmm.
that's what they're doing. So I met with the head of their AI initiatives around this, and he gave a great talk. He talked about the caution that they're putting in and what they're funding and where they want to be successful. There's still a need for a human in the middle in some cases, because it's not machines know, it's machine learning,
Hmm.
and humans learn and humans know, but the machines really don't know. Remember that phrase: the machines don't really know, they learn how to respond to patterns. It's all about numbers and statistics behind everything we just did, for generation, and low code, no code plays into this quite well. And my belief is that the role of a business analyst will now be creating scaffolding or maybe MVP work earlier. And maybe the role of a more senior or a seasoned enabled developer will take it to the next level to, to generate the needed fortification of the code to be solid, deployable in multiple different architectures, redundancy built in. It's difficult for someone to come in with just a little low code knowledge and make it completely resilient.
So I'm not going to be able to beat you in a coding competition anytime soon.
Well, you can. You could just have to work a little harder than I do.
Yeah. Well, I think again, there's a lot of fear, a lot of, oh, this is going to destroy this job, destroy that job. And I think for every kind of role this can apply to or this can add or detract from, it's really just if you understand how these tools work and how to apply those tools, there's just a greater expectation because the tool can help you do so much more. You can apply this logic to like really any industry and think of the technological changes that have happened. So you can't just have the same what do you call it? You can't just
Status quo. You can't. You have to accept change.
pretty much. And I mean, it's like the internet with all these middlemen. Yeah, some of these middlemen went away, but some of them became insanely strong and powerful because they utilized those tools to their success. And I don't know, I'm an optimist. I'm forcefully optimistic. Um, but, you know, who knows?
Like, do you still use things that look like this,
No,
or do you remember that logo?
I do. It's giving me
Welcome,
flashbacks.
welcome. You have been replaced.
Yeah. Or what's that? The noise, the brrr, like the when it turned on
The modem screeching noise. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I was like, those are bringing back those memories.
There you go. Well,
Yeah,
this has been fabulous. I enjoy our talk. Enjoy the edits that you'll make on this to make your users entertained, and we should talk again soon.
yeah. I'm gonna be honest with everyone and you. I'm pretty bad at editing, as anyone who's watched my podcast. It's just I'll clip a little, but it's just me here talking with random people like yourself, Martin.
Well, you're going to need a low code solution to help you do that soon.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Hey, thank you for taking the time out, Martin. Good to talk again.
Thanks, Blake.